Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Monday Night Pod. My name is Jeremy Jacobowitz. I'm here with my tag team partner, Adam Welby.
Hey, yo.
And this is the podcast all about the Monday Night Wars, all about the battles between WWF Raw and WCW Nitro. Each and every single week, we go back in time, and we are reviewing the episodes when they went head-to-head in order. Adam, why should people listen to what we have to say, though?
Well, first of all, what a mountain of work that must be, Jer Bear, for everybody to for two guys to go through the entire Monday Night Wars week by week and compare it face to face. But on top of all that, tell you why. Because fake news. By fake news, I mean the history is written by the victors. And as we've been covering on this podcast, WWE likes to talk about, oh my God, how great it all was during this time and how they just like smoothed right into the Stone Cold stuff, how they went everything with the perfect transition into what it was. But we are finding out week by week that it wasn't so clean, that it was actually pretty messy back then. Even our own recollections, not only just of like WWE's victories, but our own recollections of how smooth WCW was, at times, seems to be a little off. And there's only one place that you can experience that with two bros who are able to properly express everything that happened. That's right here on Monday Night Pod.
That is true, Adam. Also, we both used to work for WWE. We both used to work in a WWE tape library. Our jobs are to watch all of wrestling. And it's funny you actually said that. I'm working on, I've been sort of dabbling in these little YouTube videos that we've been putting up and having different ideas. That is, you actually tease an idea that I'm working on currently. It's at the moment, it's still digesting in my brain. I'm going to put it to paper soon and then eventually put it to tape, not tape, digital, but just sort of about the lies that WWF tells us. As we are learning, they're not big lies, they're just little fibs, but little fibs over time grow to where it's history now and it's not really what happened. So
yeah, to where it's 316 says, I just whipped your ass. Oh my God, 316 shirts all everywhere. My God, that's Stone Cold. That's Stone Cold. No. There's like 2 years between that.
Yes.
Not two.
That is one of the topics. That's one of the topics. Actually, another topic, I don't know why. I'll just tease all this. Who cares? By the time I actually get up, everyone will forget I said this. Another one I'm going to do, I want to do the whole Hunter Hearst Helmsley thing. I think the punishment of Hunter makes no sense in terms of what we've seen play out and what they show in video package and talk about. There's a huge disconnect there, and it's because we've been lied to by the WWE after all these years, especially after we see what happens at the end of tonight's Raw.
That's true. Man, what a great teaser for today's episode, because we're definitely diving into that. You are right. I didn't even think about that, and I watched the show today, and I didn't even put all that together. But you're right. The summer of burying Hunter was not quite as brutal as they try to make it out to be.
Yeah, they, in fact, include a lot of stuff that had nothing to do with his quote-unquote punishment. So, whatever, that's a tease for at some points when I do these videos. But that is a good reminder that we're also on YouTube. You can be watching us on YouTube, but if you're not, we're on YouTube with these full podcasts and other videos, like that kind of fun stuff, and we played some video games, did some vlogs. You can find us on YouTube, Monday Night Pod, Instagram, Monday Night Pod, Twitter, Monday Night Pod, Facebook, Monday Night Pod, and you can email us at info@mondaynightpod.com.
There it is. And you know what, though? Even though we're good at all that, even though we love responding and all that, the thing we really love doing, jumping in our time machine.
All right, now let's do it. Let's go back to October 21st, 1996. This is Raw 181, and we are finally live again from the War Memorial Coliseum in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Here we go.
Merciful Poseidon, I will take a live show right now.
Well, Adam, we start off with a little preview package for tonight's show. Mr. Perfect and Bret Hart are here tonight. Big show. And we start off big, well, because it's Psycho Sid versus our WWF Tag Team Champion Owen Hart with Clarence Mason. This match goes 7 minutes. I'll just go through it because it's not going to make any sense otherwise. Let's see here. Sid won last night, so he's going to be facing Shawn Michaels for the WWF title at Survivor Series. Vince and King are commentary, no JR for now. Huge Sid chance to start. He is over like a rover. Halfway through the match, Bulldog comes out He's at ringside, tries to strike Sid, but Sid just knocks him down. Sid then goes to chokeslam him, but Owen is able to sort of clip his knee, and that gives Owen the advantage throughout the match. He's working over the knee, but Sid then is able to attempt to go for the powerbomb, but Bulldog runs in, hits a clothesline, and that's a DQ finish. Sid wins.
Woo-wee. Like you said, Sid is way over in this one, and we can't even call it the fake stuff because we're live. And
we're live now.
Crowd is chanting for him. You know, it's one of those things where Hart is working his ass off in this match to like do Owen Hart things like he does, because everyone knows Sid is Sid. It ain't no Lex Luger as far as the giant blonde in-ring technician goes. But Hart's doing cool Owen stuff in it. And I had a thought early on when Sid's coming out and they're talking about the show that they have coming up. And King is yelling that this is going to be the best Raw in history. So my expectations are high because we never hear that kind of claim in wrestling, that it's going to be the best, most important one ever. So guys,
well, up until that point, they at least had a chance for it to have been.
Well, I mean, it's got some big shoes to fill if it plans on surpassing Raw Bowl. So we'll see. So far, we're off to a decent start. Not a great match. Not terrible.
Not bad. Afterwards, obviously 2-1 advantage, but Shawn Michaels runs in to help Sid. It looks like they're on the same page, Adam, for now. A little tension, but for now, they're amigos.
They're simpatico.
That was what I was trying to think, and then I was like, "Well, amigos works too," but that's what I was trying to say.
Now, a thing that I'll notice on commentary tonight that I want to bring up now, and I don't know if you caught this at all. Vince McMahon sounds ill. He sounds like he's lost his voice, like he has a cold, like something. But you'll hear, because Vince is trying to do his normal great thing, where he's like 3 announcers at once, going here. Going there and blah blah blah. But like when he tries to hit some of those pitches in this one, especially the higher ones, he sounds ill. So
I didn't catch that. That's funny.
Yeah. This for those of you at home, but we know the podheads. You're going back, you're rewatching this stuff. You're like, oh, I wanted to see what they were talking about right then. Listen to Vince. You'll hear a man with a cold. I'll tell you that.
There you go. Breaking it down. Next up, we see photos and Buried Alive. Taker actually wins the match with Mankind, but at the end, the Executioner comes out, attacks Taker, and then him and Mankind bury him alive. All the mid-card heels are out there too. Goldust is out there, all burying him alive. But then lightning, boom, and we see the hands come out of the grave, and Taker is alive.
Well, so we believe. And
there's rumors that he's in Fort Wayne. Where the hell? Fort Wayne, Indiana.
I was gonna say there's unconfirmed sightings of the Undertaker around here.
Just like at Walmart, like where the signing?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
At Waffle House.
Yeah, right. It's a gas station or a tattoo parlor.
Next up, it's Smoking Guns versus the Godwins. I feel like we say that every week with Hillbilly Jim. This match goes 4 minutes. JR joins commentary. He tells us that the winner gets a tag team title shot. Didn't really say that beforehand, but I guess that's the case. Slop drop on Bart ends it. Billy is very upset.
Boring match. The baby pigs were my favorite part.
Yes, they had. I think they had multiple pigs with them this week, right?
Yeah. They came out. They were noisy. They were cute. It was that was like my only notes in this were that the baby pigs were cute, and Jim Ross was just bickering with Vince on commentary the whole time.
Yeah, nothing to say about that. Next up, we get a little Hall of Fame promo, because remember back in the day, the Hall of Fame took place at Survivor Series weekends, and they announced that Pat Patterson, Jimmy Snuka, and Vincent J. McMahon, Vince Sr., are all going in. Pretty good class.
Yeah, so far, pretty good class. It's impressive.
Well, I think by that point, they had only done like 3 of these, so they had a lot of people to pick from.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're well.
God damn it, who did we put in? X-Pac for the 4th time. Yeah.
That's what it's come down to now. what was those X Factor?
Well, sir, X-Pac has gone in as X-Pac 6 NWO DX. What else? 1, 2, 3
1, 2,
kid. He's
3,
gone in
kid.
5 times. What do we do? Get him in as X Factor.
Hey man, I'm a huge Albert mark. You give me you put A Train in the Hall of Fame, I'm all about it. A Train, one of the great missed opportunities. I think we got to.
You think A Train is a bigger missed opportunity than Lord Tensai?
All right, hold on. In defense, I loved Lord Tensai. All right.
Well, I'm saying I think that character had more legs than A Train.
Yeah, well, that's true. There were definitely legs that they could have had if they didn't just like cower out as soon as people started chanting Albert. The thing was with A Train, at least like A Train kind of remained a badass and like, you know, had a match, handicap match, but he had a match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania. You know, he was like cool and just running.
I see. I think I was at the SmackDown where he won the Intercontinental Championship.
Oh, nice. Now, Tensai, on the other hand, had a couple of great matches coming out in the beginning. His match with Cena. He had that banger of a stiff match with Sheamus. That was like a Raw main event. And then, like, they gave up on him, and he became Sweet Tea, and he was, like, you know, wearing his outfits and dancing and blah, blah, blah. But, like, we never saw A-Train take that dive, unfortunately. Fortunately. Whatever. Either way, I mean, and obviously he's found where he's going to succeed the most right now by being the head of NXT and, like, creating all these characters. Not creating the characters, but, like, you know, there's a reason that people are transitioning into main roster, like, level attitudes so much more smoothly than the Bill DeMott days.
Yep.
So
absolutely
nothing but props to A-Train. How did we even get onto Albert after X-Pac, blah blah blah. Hall of Fame.
X
Let's
Factor.
go. That's right. X Factor for the Hall of Fame 2021.
Yes, there you go. Next up, we see Mr. Perfect warming up for his match of Hunter. Hunter comes out of nowhere and runs into him with like one of those big production bins. I don't know, what would you call it?
Oh boy, I don't know.
Yeah, production bin.
I know it's a hard case. It's
whatever.
something that if you're union house only, like, you know, the union grips are allowed to touch.
Right. Yeah. So he runs into him. Oh no, what does that mean for the match tonight? We'll find out. But first up, JR is in the ring to interview Bret Hart. This is a very long one, so let me sort of run through the cliff notes of this, and then we'll try and make sense of it. You know, obviously he's been away since WrestleMania. Says that he doesn't mention WCW by name. He says the other promotion made him an amazing offer. Says that he's done a lot of soul searching. We at this point we see that the locker room is in the back all together watching this on the monitor. Rocky Maivia included, our first appearance of The Rock ever on Raw. But Bret says that he will be with the WWF forever, then, now, and forever.
Wow. We could make it would be another fun series to do. It would be like poorly aged promos.
Well, at this point, he signed a 20-year deal. I guess it would have been ending right now. He assumed he would have been there forever. Anyway, he says that Shawn beat him fair and square at WrestleMania. He says that there's something about Shawn that bugs him. He says people might think Shawn is cute. Obviously, Vince nervously laughs at that. He says that Shawn will never be as tough or as smart as him. But for now, he says that he's going to have a match at Survivor Series. He's accepting the challenge from the best wrestler in the WWF today. He will face Stone Cold Steve Austin at Survivor Series. At that moment, we cut backstage. Really funny moment. You see like Pillman celebrating, Austin just turning to him and giving him a look of like, shut the fuck up, which is just great character work by both of them. Yeah. He then talks about a sick little kid in Canada that he had met with. He said that he promised his little kid that if he was able to pull through, he would come out of retirement. Oddly, fucking Kevin Dunn finds a little boy in the stands as if like he's the sick kid. It's a very odd directing choice. Anyway, he says that unfortunately
especially where the story goes, that's what makes it so
right. That's what I mean. So unfortunately, the kid died. Unfortunately, the kid was actually Bret's nephew. But he says that he's not gonna he can't lose to guys like Sean and girly looks and blah 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 blah. It circles back on Sean.
Yeah, he said he's not posing in girly magazines.
Right. Yeah. I thought it was really well done. Very long, but there's a lot to get to in building. They're talking about why Bret's coming back. They're building what's this months long feud with Austin. They're also connecting dots because at this point, the idea is still to have Bret and Sean at WrestleMania. So a lot to get through. I thought Bret was really great here, even if it went a little long than usual.
I feel like it went quite long, but it's not like they had anything else to go to. This was a big focus for them. And you know what? This matters a lot to people. It's one of those things that when you're watching it right now, it doesn't really, turn your knobs because we know where this is going. We know where Bret Hart is. We know where he's been. We know where he's going to go. But I can see being a fan watching it live on October 21st of 1996 and having not known where Bret was in all this time and having WCW is pulled ahead for months now in the Monday Night Wars, I can see that this is very consequential, why they're meeting up and why he's talking and why he's going so long. So you're going to want to sit there and you're going to want to know what's happening, It's like one day, like, people aren't going to go back and see as, like, important that, well, they're not going to appreciate Daniel Bryan's promo coming out of retirement as much as we do today,
Right.
like in 15, 20 years.
Right. Especially if he's able to go on for another 10 years. It's like, okay, well,
which I still stand by as one of the, most significant moments in wrestling in the last 10 years is Bryan retiring and coming out of retirement. And like, you watch those two things, having known where things have gone, it's totally different than when you were watching them in that moment. And so I can see where that would have been brilliant with Bret Hart back then. Right now, I'm not going to tell you got to fire up your network app and go back and watch this Raw to see that promo.
At the end of the day, though, that's probably going to be top 5 Bret Hart promos of all time.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Maybe it says more about his promos of history, but I think like he's going to hit, this is sort of the beginning of him finally hitting his stride of like being a really good promo guy. This is the first of basically the countdown is now on to the end of his WWF career. There's 1 year left where he just kills it.
But he said he'd be there forever. So I don't know what you're talking about, Jer Bear.
Sorry. All right. Spoilers. Sorry. Anyway, next up, got to lighten the mood a little bit. So we have the Karate Fighters Holiday Tournament. Adam is back. It's the selection show. King and Todd Pettengill are our hosts. King is disqualified for cheating last year. Remember, he taped his characters to the thing. But here are our first round matchups. It's going to be Bob Backlund versus Sonny, Doc versus Sable, Sid versus Marlena, and Phineas versus Mr. Perfect. A pretty odd pairing, but obviously it's one big giant sponsored joke. So that's sort of
pretty odd pairings considering that all but one of the competitions are mixed gender.
Right. What's funnier too is I believe Mr. Backlund is fighting because he doesn't believe women should be part of the tournament.
Right. Oh, Bob Backlund. So it's just such a character. But yeah, King is not thrilled about being left out of this year's proceedings. And then him and Todd go at it for a quick second, and King wins. So Karate Fighters, ho.
All right, it is time for what is supposed to be our main event. Remember, we built into our Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Mr. Perfect for a few months, maybe weeks at least. So Hunter comes out, Mr. Perfect comes out with Miro, Sable, and Gorilla. Remember, Perfect got hurt by Hunter earlier. Perfect has a noticeable limp on his way down. Oh my God. JR hops in and asks what's happening. Perfect says that Gorilla and a doctor say he cannot wrestle tonight. Perfect says that Mark Miro will wrestle for him, though. Hunter says he isn't obligated to do anything. Gorilla agrees, but Hunter says that he will wrestle him if the IC titles, and he first said if that's on the line. I thought he was going to fight for Sable, which almost made more sense for his character at the time. But no, he meant the Intercontinental Championship. A little bit of back and forth. Gorilla keeps asking if it's okay. I don't know, whatever. But anyway, this is now going to be our main event. Intercontinental Championship on the line. Mark Miro versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Mr. Perfect joins commentary. This match goes 6 minutes and 30 seconds. So Hunter throws Miro into Tim White, the referee, knocking them both out. Hunter goes to get a steel chair, but Sable and Mr. Perfect run in to stop him. Perfect grabs the chair. Swerve, bro. Knocks out Mark Miro with the steel chair instead. Sable is screaming. Hunter hits the pedigree and wins the Intercontinental Championship. Perfect and Hunter celebrate as the show goes off the air.
Whew, wow, how shocking. So, to your original point, when you were saying that you thought that he was going to wrestle for Sable instead of the Intercontinental Championship, you know, if you had to weigh getting a Intercontinental title reign or getting a 28-year-old Sable, you know, I think I know which way I'm gonna go on that one. I'm gonna leave it to you guys to decide.
Oh, I want the belt.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. Not like
you could have all the ladies. If you're the Intercontinental Champion, Adam, you could have whoever you want.
Oh, then you can have Mark Miro's wife.
Yeah. Okay. Well, for Brock, I guess he had to win the Undisputed belt first. So maybe he took that.
But yeah, this match is pretty decent, actually.
Yeah.
Like, this is good. Like, my favorite spot was probably a springboard moonsault that Miro pulled off, because as we've discussed many times, like, even though Miro sort of has trouble getting treated like a star on these shows, he is featured prominently and he steps up each time. And this is a solid match. And like we were alluding to earlier, a odd way to finish out the summer of burying Hunter by giving
he was on TV every single week in a major program. Now leaves with Mr. Perfect as his manager. Which, remember, I said weeks ago when they started building to this, I'm like, I don't believe Mr. Perfect ever gets back in the ring. I'd forgotten that he works with Hunter. I mean, Perfect is out of there very soon, I want to say.
Yeah.
See how long this lasts.
Well, he's got to get to WCW where he can rap his crap in 2 years.
We're much further away from that, but yes. But anyway, that's Raw. I'm pretty flew through it because I think the show flew by. I was nicely paced, felt good. No bangers, but I really don't have any complaints about the show. I mean, I hate seeing Smoking Guns and the Stupid Godwins again. Yeah, the match only went 4 minutes, so you know they sort of skirted by that pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's my one low point for the show. But and the Sid stuff was like okay, you know that match.
He's over though. He doesn't have to do much.
Yeah. You're right. He is over, and yeah, this is. I mean, I don't think it was the best Raw in history, as King promised us, but this is far from the worst.
Well, much better with Vince and King out there than stupid Kevin Kelly.
Yeah, I feel bad for him because I he's trying. He's going for it, Kevin Kelly, but
well, he had to deal with the JR heel turn. Like it wasn't made easy for him.
Right. Yeah, he's set up to fail. But
as you are in the WWF normally.
What was your favorite thing from Raw? Do you think?
Hunter winning the Intercontinental Championship.
I don't even know why I asked. The heads at home should know if Jeremy's going to pick a favorite moment on a show where Hunter wins the belt.
Actually, my favorite moment is Austin turning towards Pillman.
Yeah.
I just thought it was such a little – it's those little things where that's why the Austin character worked, because there's no way anyone directed Austin to do that. There's no way – maybe there's a general sense of like, hey, Pillman, you're going to get excited. Austin, you're going to be a little mad. But like no one taught them how to act that way. It was Austin just knowing this character so well and being in the moment and playing out the way it would play out in real life. And I think like that's the genius of that character and the genius of wrestling when it's done right. Unfortunately, we just don't see a lot of that.
Yeah, but it's all, I mean, on top of all of that, on top of Austin being masterful of knowing where he is and who he is, also the relationship he has with Brian Pillman, you know, like those two guys have, you know, traveled the world together and grew up together basically in mainstream wrestling as you know, as the Hollywood Blondes, and they have at a level where they just know each other so well that they're able to do that, when they talk about tag teams not needing to speak to know what the other one's thinking. Like, that those two are on that level. And, I was thinking about Brian Pillman recently because, we don't timestamp our show as much as we can.
Get ready to take a shot, folks.
Now, coming up on Dark, I believe it is this week. Pillman Jr. is going to be making his AEW singles match debut. And we saw Pillman Jr. at MLW Fusion when we went.
Mm-hmm. Check out that video on YouTube, Monday Night Pod.
He was very good on the show. 22, still finding.
Still a baby. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, still a baby, still finding his way in wrestling. Not nearly as tall as his father, but has charisma, and you can see he's going somewhere. A lot of people often talk about the great missed opportunities in wrestling. Like we were talking about the ones earlier who they didn't grab and move on with, being A-Train or there's many different examples. I'm screwing it up right now off the top of my head, but there's also the stories in wrestling about like the greats who could have been, who were taken too early from us. And everybody always likes to talk about Owen Hart as one of them. And another one, even though he didn't die, Magnum TA, who was taken out by, was it a motorcycle accident or a car crash?
Yes, motorcycle.
Right. Brian Pillman, though, man. Well, that's a name that's not really brought up as often as someone who, like, you wonder if he hadn't passed away when he did. Brian Pillman, who is so important in wrestling and so plugged into everything and so good at his character and what he did, and had the trust and the respect of people like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, just imagine where a Brian Pillman would have fit in 1999 between Austin, The Rock, Triple H, Undertaker, Kane.
Yeah, I mean, I think you sort of have to go back. Unfortunately, with him, even before passing away, you have to sort of go back to how it led to that and the accident. And, this moment, he got that accident right before getting to the WWF or whatever. And he was just never the same in the ring. So, you're right. It's always like, it's even more what ifs of him. It's like, because remember, like, as much as like he's now remembered almost more so for like the character work that he did, he was such a pioneer of the high flyers even before that, when he was like really able to work, a pioneer of the tag teams with Austin too. It's such a shame that we never even got to see that side of him at all post 1996.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a good point what you're saying about him needing to, like, how he wasn't the same in the ring, but like, in a very similar way as we are getting into, and we're going to see developing over the next year and 2 years, is Stone Cold's whole thing, where he was a Ric Flair ring technician, and that was his thing. And then he had the neck injury, and he had to transition into the brawler. And maybe we would have seen Pillman make a similar transition. It's all these what ifs, and I think it is one of the great tragedies of what ifs in wrestling, up there with, like, absolutely up there with Owen Hart, Magnum TA, Bruiser Brody, Eddie Guerrero even. I mean, Eddie got to the top, obviously, but he wasn't, Eddie was only at the top for like a year before he passed, if you really think about it, because he passed in 2005, right?
Yes, and he won the belt in 2004.
Yeah, right. So, I think, I just wanted to take a second to recognize Brian Pillman and then kind of think about that. Tragic, but that this is why we watch, this is why we remember, and this is why we honor.
Absolutely. Well, shall we go on to Nitro?
I would love to.
Great. This is episode number 58, and they are live. Of course, they are from the Mankato Civic Center in Mankato, Minnesota. Do you have an idea where Mankato is?
I do not. Have you gone there to eat food?
No, I've been to Minnesota a few times. I don't think I've ever come close to Mankato, though, so who knows. But we are live. Tony and Larry open the show. We see clips of last week of the Liz and Macho stuff, and we go into our first match. It is Bobby Eaton versus Chris Jericho. This match goes 7 minutes and 15 seconds. No longer Earl Robert Eaton.
No.
For the first time we've seen him I believe in the Monday Night Wars, we've seen him as Bobby Eaton, back
but,
to the OG.
but we did see him get attacked, did we not? I know we saw Jeeves get attacked.
We saw G's get attacked. I think this is something they just like, poof, oh well, it's done.
Yeah.
Even though Regal is still the TV champion, even though they said that he is currently defending the belt around the world.
Well, Regal is an around the world kind of wrestler, so I'm not surprised.
That's true. Anyway, I'll just go through this. So, one other note before I start. Interesting that turnbuckles were red and blue this week. I don't know why.
Curious.
Makes no sense, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so during the match, Six and Fake Sting are in the stands under the NWO banner. Six is filming this because he will be taking on Chris Jericho at Slim Jim Presents Halloween Havoc. The fans are just chanting NWO the whole time. They're pretty much ignoring the match. Jericho and Eaton are able to pull them in a little bit towards the end, but for the majority of it, they don't give a shit. Missile drop kick by Jericho ends it.
Yeah. Match is relatively boring, actually. I was disappointed because Bobby Eaton is that guy that like literally Stone Cold and The Undertaker are talking about on, was it Stone Cold and Taker or was it Stone Cold and
Goldberg?
I think it might have been Stone Cold and Flair were talking about it on Broken Skull sessions as like Bobby Eaton being one of the great technicians who just like could turn it over into that next level would make people really care. And then obviously you have the GOAT, Chris Jericho, on the other side of there. You kind of want more from these two, but you don't really get it. So I don't blame the crowd for not really falling in love with it.
True. After the match, Tony gets the ring to chat with Jericho about facing Six at Slim Jim Presents Halloween Havoc. Cuts a very white meat babyface promo. He's like, yeah. Very, very different than the interaction of what we saw Jericho and Tony Schiavone this past week on AEW. 25 years later, whatever we are.
It's true.
Next up, we get a very weird little video package for Ray Ray. At the beginning, it's like really slow and slow-mo, and then it like picks up speed, and we get lots of 90s edits and graphics, and poof, 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 Ray, Ray, Ray. It's a 90s thing.
Yeah, it's early 90s, late 80s paced, and music, it's odd. But WCW did this from time to time to just kill time, it seems, where it's just like a unfocused highlight reel to some cheesy music. But hey, man, treating Ray like a star, and Ray is a star. I get it.
That's true. And, nice to see him when ways to have people on even these 2-hour shows. Can't get more of him. We get that.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay with it.
Yeah, you don't have to put him in a full match to have people remember and care about him. But, we'll get some more advancement on this feud in a second here.
Yes, we will. Next up, it's Jimmy Graffiti versus Dean Malenko. Match goes 6 minutes and 45 seconds. Dean comes out with the raised mask again. As you said, Adam, they are facing off at Slim Jim Presents Halloween Havoc. We see Fake Sting out there recording this match this time. Graffiti comes off the top rope, but right into a Texas clover leaf for the win for Dean Malenko.
Well, my favorite part about this match is there's a guy in the front row who is slamming beer and has a giant crab hat on his head. That was the most entertaining thing for me because this match was kind of boring also, I thought. But yeah. Did you, Jer Bear, look up who Jimmy Graffiti is?
I did.
Well, did you recognize him from our days as loggers in the WWE tape library?
I did.
Ah, boy. Because I did not. Because he is not in the kind of shape that he was in Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Oh, well, true. By looking at him, no. Just when I saw his name, I'm like, and I squinted, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's him. That's Jimmy Delray.
Yeah, that's right. Formerly of the Heavenly Bodies. And instead, in this match, he is...
Heavenly Bodies, who were a stripper gimmick, I believe.
Yeah, headed
male
up
prostitute, somewhere along those lines.
Was Jim Cornette their manager? Who was it?
Yeah. Or he was involved with that. I mean, he was obviously involved with them in Ohio Valley or whatever. But something like that.
Right.
Smoky Mountain, sorry, Smoky Mountain, not Ohio
Right,
Valley.
but this is long after giving up the working out. Now doing the fat guy in a t-shirt. Not fat guy, but skinny fat.
Yeah, we'll see a lot of that on Nitro. Anyway, next up, it's DDP versus Sergeant Craig Pittman, actually with him. And Teddy Long. This match goes 3 minutes. Okay, here we go. So remember, Nick Patrick is a ref. He had a lot of issues with Teddy Long last week. Pittman locks on the code red, his finisher, his submission finisher. DDP is tapping out, but for some reason, before that happens, Teddy Long gets onto the ring apron. So locks it in. He's going to win. His manager hops onto the ring apron. That distracts Nick Patrick as DDP is tapping. So he misses the whole thing. Pittman then yells at Nick Patrick, which allows DDP to hit the diamond cutter out of nowhere for the win.
It's cool also because before the match, they're showing like a bunch of replays of just like a highlight reel of the diamond cutter. Because like they understand, yeah, exactly. They understand what they have with the diamond cutter, how it's hot, and people are into it. I also thought it was funny that Pittman got fireworks for his entrance.
Yeah, it was almost like he started coming out to booze, and they're like, "Hit the fucking pyro, give him something." God damn it, cover up the booze and make people believe he's a face.
Can I make an argument in defense of Teddy Long being on the apron when the code red is being locked in?
Sure, go ahead.
I think, now I'm trying to rationalize this post-match, but I think that Teddy Long was up there yelling at Patrick because Patrick wasn't in a good position to see a tap out, right?
Because he was slowly good. He was getting there. Remember, he's a hurt neck at him.
Right, exactly. He's probably yelling at him because he's taking too long. Because in previous weeks, we have had Teddy Long and Nick Patrick not seeing eye to eye. So that is how I could rationalize this really stupid move by Teddy Long.
Well, there you go. Afterwards, Teddy yells at Nick Patrick again for the loss. I think this one's on you, though, Teddy. Anyway, next up, Tony interviews Nick Patrick. He says that he didn't hear DDP give up. He says that if Teddy had stayed in the corner, he could have seen it, but he didn't. Tony then again accuses Nick Patrick of being the NWO referee. Patrick says, no way. He's in much better condition than that referee. That must be Randy Anderson.
Yeah. I'm in much better shape than it must be Randy Anderson. Hilarious. I love Randy Anderson, too.
Next up, we see clips from a few weeks ago, Ric Flair being taken out in NWO, and then Jeff Jarrett declaring himself Team WCW. That leads to our next match. It is a Big Ron Studd versus Jeff Jarrett. This match goes 1 minute and 45 seconds, but much more happens before the match. So remember, Jeff Jarrett is taking on Giant at Slim Jim Presents Halloween Havoc. So what do you do when you're going to face the Giant? Well, you go up against another Giant before that, because WCW has run this match out there like countless times.
Yeah.
Ron Studd, a.k.a. the Yeti, is a massive man.
Yeah, God, he's huge. And I was laughing about this because, yes, this is just like Luger did against him as, like, the Giant Killer. Now we have another Giant Killer with him. And I thought, oh, no, poor Ron Studd is now in the position of Kane, the Raw before WrestleMania against The Undertaker's opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Where Kane would do the job every...
Even worse, because this dude is a total jobber, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because somehow they thought, hey, this 7'4" dude who can actually move pretty decent, he didn't get
bigger than Giant.
Yeah, we had one stupid gimmick with him, and then now like we can't have him be money because I think that guy could have been money.
I agree. Anyway, so Jeff Jarrett is out there. He does his usual little strut in the ring. That brings out Ric Flair. He comes in there before the match begins. And he has Jarrett do the strut again for him. Flair then shows him how to really do it. So Jarrett tries once again. Flair shows him up once again. And they're strutting. They're doing whatever. They go face to face. Flair finally shakes his hand and walks off, and we get the match between Jarrett and Studd. That match goes, as I said, under 2 minutes. Jarrett is actually able to suplex him, which is wild. Yeah. And it locks on the figure 4 leg lock for the win.
Jarrett is also really big right now. Jarrett is on the gas the hard way. Oh, yeah.
You think so?
He's enormous. But
I was just thinking it's his gear. His gear makes him look big.
no, I can see how big he is under the gear. That's how big he is right now. And he suplexed Ron Stud.
True. Anyway, after the match, Tony interviews Jeff Jarrett. Again, we haven't seen Mean Gene in weeks. I hope he's okay.
He's not, Jared. He died last year.
I know. Anyway, interviews Jeff Jarrett after the match. He talks about facing Giant and how he's going to put the 54 leg lock on him. Flair comes back out at that point, yells about the NWO, and then we see Giant looking on from the stands. He's not happy at him.
No, he is not. Yeah. This match was just it's that whole Giant Killer thing again. Moving on, but
it went less than 2 minutes. I saw Jarrett do something very impressive.
Yeah, and
I'm okay with it.
And you know what? I dug the dueling struts at the beginning of the match, and we're not all the way through it.
No, but we are in hour 2. Begins. Eric Keenan and Mike Tenay are with us. First match, it is Roadblock versus Lex Luger. This match goes 3 minutes 45 seconds. Roadblock comes out. He's a big man, Adam, a massive man.
Roadblock is huge.
He comes out literally wearing like a construction sign around his neck. And
carrying a literal roadblock like over.
That's what I mean, like a roadblock construction sign thingy. Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's very on the nose. Anyway, Lex comes out to a huge ovation. During the match, we go split screen. We see Arn in the back talking about time running out for Lex. Lex somehow slams him and then is obviously going to go for the rack. Tries to get him into the rack once. Can't do it. Tries for a second time, can't do it. Third time, finally gets him into the rack. Goddamn Jesus.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the match.
It's impressive. I'm looking at his Wikipedia right here, and I'm surprised. Yeah, and I'm surprised he's billed at 6'10" and 350 pounds. He looked bigger than 350 pounds.
6'10", maybe a little, maybe pushing closer to 400, but you never know.
Yeah. No, but I mean, for like a thick guy like he is, a big dude, fat dude, big. Like, I think I think that he could have been billed as 400 pounds, and I would have believed it. Who is that one dude that oh my God, going back to the early Monday Night Pod days. Oh, there was that one giant dude who couldn't move anymore. You remember that? Oh man, podheads, you need to write in. You need to remind me who that dude was. We talked about him. He was God. It was a WCW one. He was ugly as all hell.
Oh, Loch Ness from Britain.
That's it.
I forget what his WCW name was, but it was Loch Ness from Britain. Yeah.
I feel bad that it was only after I said he was ugly as all hell that you were able to remember. It was Giant Haystacks. That's what it was.
Giant Haystacks. Sorry, I'm getting all of his gimmicks confused.
Yes, London, England. Yes. Build weight at 685 pounds.
I think that was a shoot, brother.
Yeah, probably. Woof. Well, anyway, Roadblock not nearly as large as Loch Ness, but a large guy and a impressive rack by Lex Luger.
Impressive rack, yes. Next up is the American Males versus our WCW Tag Team Champions, Harlan Heat with Sherry and Colonel Robin Parker. I hate typing that all out. Can they please get rid of at least one of their student managers? I hate it. Anyway, this match goes 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Again, there's so much chaos at the end of this. Sherry and Parker try to get involved, which allows Booker to hit the axe kick on Riggs. Stevie then goes to the pin. Bagwell is standing 3 feet away from them in the ring, realizes he's out of position. So instead of breaking up the count, he stands there, waits for the 1, then breaks up the count. You think that he breaks up the count, but because it's Nick Patrick actually making the count, he says it is the 3 count. Whatever. Match is over. Harlem Heat wins.
I'm
okay with the finish if stupid fucking Buff Bagwell, Marcus Bagwell, doesn't screw it up.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of what we've been getting out of Harlem Heat for a while now, which is these pretty solid matches where they go out and they, they're athletic and they're entertaining and they do whatever. And then the ending just has to be some kind of chaos with Sherry and Parker. And
So
I don't think it always needs to be that quite yet. But whatever. They still got
yeah. Also
Slim
during
Jim
this match,
present.
Eric talks about the World Series is going on, 1996 World Series between the Yankees and the Braves. The Braves are currently winning. Spoiler, they will not win this World Series, folks. Anyway, this is the first time of many times tonight. Eric apologizes for forcing Randy to watch the Liz footage from last week. And also, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash appear in the stands because they will be taking on Harlem Heat at Slim Jim Presents Halloween Havoc.
Exactly. And that is a match I am looking forward to, actually. I think I'm actually going to watch Slim Jim Presents Halloween Havoc.
Yeah, I forgot to watch Buried Alive, but I was thinking, I should watch this pay-per-view. I've definitely seen it, but watch it again. Smell a little bit.
I'm definitely more excited for Slim Jim Presents Halloween Havoc than I was for Buried Alive. In your house, Buried Alive, where we couldn't name any of the matches other than Buried Alive when we had to think about it.
What's funny is they really didn't talk about that much of the fallout from the show either. Like they mentioned it, well, of course Sid's the number one contender. We saw some clips of Taker and they sort of mentioned it, but what about Austin's match? They never even talked about.
What happened with Austin versus Savio Vega 19? We need to know who's ahead in their series of 45 matches that we've seen on air between Austin and Savio Vega.
We saw Savio Vega wrestle last year.
That's true. We did. Another one who we saw at that same MLW Fusion show.
Stacked card.
Hey, man. With all the people we saw that day, Jimmy Havoc, we saw La Parka.
Vladdy Daddy.
That's right. We saw Vicious Vladimir Joseph for the show. The
Hearts.
Yeah, yep. Teddy Hart. We saw Timothy Thatcher.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He wrestled Davey Boy?
Yep, in a great match.
Yep.
Dirty Tom Lawler, that was good. The Von Erichs. Yeah, man.
You guys want to see us do that? That's on our YouTube page. We went there. We had a fun night. YouTube Monday Night Pod.
We sure did. We were going to have a fun night, too, at AEW Blood and Guts, but we all know what happened there. So hopefully next year.
Next up, get the Fantastics versus the Faces of Fear of Jimmy Hart. This match goes 5 minutes and 15 seconds. I hated this. Meng boots one of them in the fucking head with Barbarian is holding him. Meng boots him in the head and Barbarian pins him for the win. Now, it was an extended squash.
I was going to say, you say the match went 5 minutes and 15 seconds, but for the Fantastics, I imagine that match went about 250 years. Because they were stiffing the shit out of them, just like you kind of expect out of, Meng and Barbarian.
Which is why I don't understand why it had to go 5 minutes. Why can't it just be 15 seconds?
Because they just, they're dogs playing with their food. They got to go out there. Why did the Fantastics really need a comeback? That's
right. That's what I mean. Yeah.
In there.
Who knows? Next up, Eric once again apologizes to Macho Man as we see footage again from last week. They play pretty much the same thing, and I'm getting very bored with this episode of Nitro very, very quickly. Next up, formerly Mr. JL, now just JL versus Fake Sting. This match goes 1 minute and 45 seconds. Let's just go through all this because a lot happens. So we were promised real Sting at the beginning of the show, but Eric then later clarifies saying that this is actually going to be the NWO Sting, and that's what we get. Fake Sting comes out to Sting's music, but as he's coming out, we see the NWO come through the stands and surround the ring. No Hogan, though. Scorpion Deathlock is applied as the real Sting comes out, but this is a Sting like we've never seen before. He's wearing all black and white. He has a long black trench coat, white mask, all black outfit. Not quite the Crow character Sting we would know him as, but the beginning iteration of this. Obviously, this is the first time out there. So NWO does not stop. It gets very confusing. NWO doesn't stop real Sting from attacking fake Sting. Finally, the NWO surround real Sting as Ted gets on the mic and welcomes real Sting aboard. And then they all take turns on the mic trying to convince Sting to join the NWO. Real Sting then says that they don't have the price range to afford him, but nothing is for sure and leaves it at that and walks away.
Right. Yeah. The only sure thing about Sting is that nothing's for sure. And he still has, I had some mixed feelings about this because, yeah, it's cool to start seeing, what will be the Crow Sting, Dark Sting kind of make its first appearance. But I didn't like how when Sting took the mic and he's got this entirely different look. He's got this entirely, you want to think it's going to be entirely different attitude or whatever that comes along with it. I mean, him having possibly joined the NWO. And his delivery is the exact same, like surfer dude, So,
well, I think that's more of just like this is a journey that we're going to see Sting on. Slowly, as the NWO chips away at his soul, he gets darker and darker. Right now, with just a little bit of face paint change. Later on, we see him, recede into the rafters.
I would have liked to just see him bring it down one notch. That's all.
Fair. Next up, our main event's supposed to be Chris Benoit versus Randy Savage. Macho Man's music hits, but he comes out in all black also. Street clothes this time. Eric chases him on the entranceway and apologizes once again. He says that this week he actually has something else to show Randy, and we cut to a whole little package that Hulk Hogan put together, shot black and white. This is on the set of Three Ninjas, where Hulk Hogan is playing the bad guy. He talks to the director and says that the NWO are taking over the film, says that Giant is now directing. And then we see Hogan prepping Liz for her first scene. He's like, force it, like you say, you love Randy Savage, blah, blah, blah. And she's getting more upset and more upset. She's begging Hulk Hogan to stop. He won't stop. Hogan's like, bring her to the trailer. So then he corners her in the trailer. Hogan's yelling at her in the trailer some more. We cut back to the arena, and Randy is just absolutely shell-shocked and walks away. He then comes back and says that friendships and relationships are fragile, blah, 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 blah. But Hogan, life is fragile too, and walks off.
Yeah.
That's how Nitro ends.
You missed the best part of that video package, though, is when Giant
directing the movie.
Giant gets made director and just starts yelling at the crew about like their shot setup sucks and stuff like that. It's awesome. I would watch like an hour of the Giant directing a film crew. It's absolutely hilarious. Yeah. Hey man, I'm like, it's weird when you end the wrestling shows with like so not wrestling, not in the arena. It makes me wonder like what WCW brought out there as like their dark match to end the show or whatever to like send the crowd home happy. But I liked it. I was thoroughly entertained by this whole thing.
I like this. Like it's truly, we sort of saw that evolution of Hogan finding that Hollywood character, and he's like so into it now, where he's so delusional, and it's not yelling Hulk Hogan yelling. He's just yelling as this delusional king of Hollywood, as he calls himself, character.
Right. Yeah, and it's funny.
He's also like on the set of the fucking third Three Ninjas movie. Like, all right, Hogan, chill.
Right, yeah. Yeah. Dolph Ziggler has starred in bigger projects at this point.
I was thinking about that today. Like, God, man, Hogan tried so hard to be an actor, but like all these dudes now just crush it. And I want to say, I mean, I do, because I was watching today Cena in a commercial. I'm like, they don't even make mention of it being John Cena. He's just in commercials now. But like, I think part of it is Rock, Batista, and Cena are definitely better actors than Hogan. But I think it was also so strategic and smart, and pretty much started with The Rock, which was Rock isn't going to start off being the head honcho, the main dude in these movies. He's going to find supporting roles that help him grow as an actor, and then build his way up to being to headline, which you saw Batista do, and you're seeing Cena do also. Where Hogan was just like, well, no, I'm Hulk Hogan. I'm going to be the star of this movie. Of course I am. And he never like took the time to really learn how to act and like prepare for those bigger roles. It was just, I'm the biggest. I will be the superstar.
Right. Well, he was also like, he was so quick to just accept anything. Like, not that
right, the roles too. Yeah.
He's playing like Santa with muscles or whatever.
That was Goldberg.
All right. No. What was that? Like, Oh God, I can't even remember.
Mr. Nanny.
That's Mr. Nanny. That's what I was thinking of. And like The Rock definitely almost fell into that trap when he was doing Tooth Fairy and stuff like that.
Yeah, but even by the Tooth Fairy, he had done a lot of supporting work. That was one of his first like starring roles.
Right. Well, I think was it the Rundown or Walking Tall that was his first real starring role?
Maybe wasn't the Scorpion King one?
Let's see. He was
the side character in one of the stupid Mummy movies, and then he got his own starring Mummy movie.
First off, how dare you call the Mummy movies stupid? Because the Mummy movies, especially the first one and the second one with the Scorpion King, even though the Scorpion King itself looks terrible and dated as hell when he comes out, and is that just like horrible CGI snip guy? No, I think you're right now that you say it. It's like, yeah, Scorpion King came out, but he had already been like kind of an established character in that, so like people were kind of giving it light. And then it was The Rundown and Walking Tall, which are both perfectly fine action films. Rundown is actually, even though it's a little unfocused and all over the place stylistically, like if you watch it in the beginning, there's this weird like computery graphic thing where it like, you know, gives people titles and like says like what they are. Like it's it's unfocused as a film visually, I think. Well, it's a good movie overall, and you know, I feel like when you're a rising star in Hollywood, like really all you got to do is if you can put together 3 good projects back to back, you'll work forever. Like if you look at like an M. Night Shyamalan or something like that. So or like even now, like Batista was that way. He was able to string together good movies. John Cena is like coming into that between his role, and even though they were smaller roles, but he had the role in that Amy Schumer one. What was that?
I forget what that is, but yeah,
exactly. Trainwreck. And then, God, he was just hilarious in Blockers. That movie is great. Highly recommend to anyone. Yeah, and I've heard Bumblebee is really good, but I haven't gotten around to watching it.
I haven't seen any of those.
But all of these
Hunter needs what? Hunter needs one more then? He has The Chaperone.
They're supposed to be really good movies, my friend. He has Blade Trinity.
Yes.
Right. Where he was the vampire with a Pomeranian. And yeah.
Didn't Batista quit because he didn't get The Chaperone?
You know what? I'm fine to start that rumor right now. You know, I started the show off by saying you're not going to get fake news on Monday Night Pod, but if you want to,
I actually think it was. I think he was supposed to star in it, and at the last second, Hunter's like, "Hey, Dad, I want to be in a movie," and he didn't. And Batista like saw the writing on the wall of like, "Well, if I can't even star in The fucking Chaperone, like, what am I doing here?" And I think that sort of set off his trajectory of leaving the company.
Yeah. Well, he's Hall of Fame bound for sure. But yeah, that was after all that discussion, that was Nitro.
That was Nitro.
What do you think about Nitro? Let's talk about Nitro.
I think it's the same things. I think it was better than the previous weeks, honestly, but I think it's the same issues that we've been having, which are that I like these storylines that are going on. I'm into it. The NWO stuff, particularly this week, was much better for me than in previous weeks, which makes it a swallow it goes down a little easier. But I don't think there's any matches you should go back and watch. And I think for what they were, they could have been shorter to like make me feel better. But instead we just got like, even matches that were supposed to be good were bad. And the matches that were bad went on forever. And it's just like, like you could cut out 75% of the show and get everything you want out of it.
Yeah, I also thought it took a little while for the show to like pick up. Like it didn't.
Well, no, I mean, you always see that because hour 1, they don't give a shit. And then it's everything save for hour 2.
Yeah, well, hour 2 is chaos. Like sometimes you can get some decent stuff in hour 1.
Yeah.
But even the crowd wasn't like following it until DDP was out there, and you know people are popping for the Diamond Cutter. So, all right. So given that, between these two shows, as is the thesis statement of Monday Night Pod, we need to decide who had the better show on October 21st, 1996, Raw or Nitro. Jared, how's that you? Thinking. Thinking. For
Um,
the audio
I
listeners.
kind of want to say, you know what? I want to say Raw. As much as I like that ending of Nitro, I just think overall Raw was a better show.
You know, I really liked the ending of Nitro. I really liked a couple of things through Nitro. I liked the strut off between Jarrett and Flair, and yeah, obviously the Hogan stuff at the end is super compelling. We get to see Sting for the first time in a long time, which, as we know, I'm not the biggest Sting fan, but that is quite significant, especially seeing black and white Sting come out for the first time. But those things combined, I don't think, are quite enough to be more interesting than Hunter getting the IC title. Because this is Hunter's first IC title, is it not? No. Second?
No, he might have even, it might even be his third by that point, because he was feuding before with didn't go back and forth with Goldust a little bit a few months ago, earlier this year.
Hunter was?
Yeah, because remember he had the whole thing with Marlena, no?
I'm trying to remember that because I can't imagine that, because that would imply that Hunter was a face, because Goldust was a heel all that time, and I can't see Hunter Hearst Helmsley, even though you love and adore him. I can't see them booking the Greenwich Silver Spoon character as a babyface. They don't have the ability to yeah. I'll burn time while you look that up, but they don't have the subtlety to do it like they did with EC3 in TNA for a while during his face run as part of the top 1%. But you tell me, Jer Bear, what does it look like?
I guess you're right. I screwed this all up. So we saw Goldust win it in January. Then it was vacated for, like, remember they took it away from him just for him to win it again off of Savio Vega. And then Ahmed Johnson won it and is vacated. And then Miro, and then Hunter Helmsley. You are correct, Adam.
So we have a pretty
his first title in the WWF then.
Well, then we have a very significant Raw here on our hands between Bret Hart, Stone Cold thing starting off, and that. So, I think I'm going to make a little note here. I'm going to say our winner for tonight was Raw. How about
where are you making this note?
Oh, just at the bottom of my own notes.
Oh, okay. Because remember, the fans at home are supposed to be keeping track of this. So I didn't know if you had started something.
No, I'm not doing the homework for our pod heads, because otherwise, our pod heads would just be listening and would be in a passive engagement with the podcast, and we want you all active.
That's true. All right, so that's what we thought. We picked Raw. America in 1996 picked Nitro. Not shocking. We're in the middle of 83 weeks. Nitro got a 3.2. Raw got a 2.6. But we would love to know what you guys thought. Let us know. Tweet at us who you think won the Monday Night Wars that week. If you watch on YouTube, you could just comment below. You could be like, I thought Nitro won it. I agree with you guys. I thought Nitro won it. You're wrong. Or it's, I thought Raw won it. You guys are real cool. And you could write on our Facebook wall, Monday Night Pod. You could email us at info@mondaynightpod.com if you have more issues. You can, let's see. Oh, if you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe, hit the like button, share the video. That'd be great. Wherever you're listening to us on all podcasting platforms, hit the subscribe, following button. That is wonderful. Specifically, if you listen to Apple Podcasts, you can leave a 5-star review. That's very nice also, Adam.
It is. It's greatly appreciated, and it helps us keep the lights on, I guess. That's what they say sometimes.
Sort of. Yeah. Any final thoughts for this week?
For this week, man, I'm liking this. I'm liking that. I'm surprised to see Sting come back, because I wasn't expecting it, like you were talking about, because we just see him randomly dip in and out for all this time. But there's cool stuff coming about, and even though we started the show like making fun of WWE's recollection of what Stone Cold 316 was from its inception until his title win, like 2 years later, it's still pretty fun to see these little moments with this character and where it's going, and see like how Bret Hart talked about real stuff, mixing it in with the majesty of wrestling. the fantasy world that it is. So we have some really cool, exciting stuff to look forward to here, and I hope the pod heads are excited.
That's it. All right, guys. We will see you next week. Bye.